yesterday, but he had managed finally. So you see him online. Yesterday, he worked quite hard to make sure that he still continue as a moderator, but online. Thank you very much, sir. We greatly appreciate that. With you as a moderator, let me invite our other panelist on the dais. Dr. Shriram is already here. Vijay Madanji, Mr. Vijay Madan, please, sir. Narendra Naji, sir, please. Sachin, Dr. Sachin Gaur. And Devrata Nayak, he has taken a nature's break. He'll be back in 1 minute. We have two participants online. Mr. Manoj Kumar Parmar, founder, CEO and CTO, AI Shield powered by Bosch, and Mr. Martin from TIC Council, who presented in our last session. But before I hand over to our moderator for this session, Dr. N. Subramaniam, let me briefly introduce Mr. Subramaniam. He's an executive director currently working with Society for Electronic Transaction and Security. It's known as SETS. And he's serving as an executive director since December 2022. Prior to joining SETS, he had served at the Center of Development for Advanced Computing, CDAC. Pune has had a PhD. He contributes standard formulation activities under BIS and TSDSI and involved in guiding PhD students for research project. Sir, we have a challenge. There are two challenges. One is we have to vacate this room at 6 o'clock. And before that, we at least need 15 minutes to have a summary of 3 panel session right now going on. So over to you, sir. It's quite a challenging task, but I think we all have heard since morning. We have our panelist. So over to you, sir. Try to close it by max 5:30 is good, but 5:45 is okay, sir. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Dinesh. Good evening and greetings to all of you over there. This is a very interesting session as a part of this 4th Indo-European Dialogue on Standards and on Emerging Technologies. Specifically talking about 2 aspects, one on the data privacy and the cyber security. As we all are aware, the evolving technology landscape and penetration of devices, IoT sensors, adoption of AI by various sectors, and proliferation of cloud edge kind of computing is before us. You see a huge amount of data, very much individual oriented personal data, as well as coupled with environment and contextual data getting generated. So at this point, when we see both in India as well as in the EU, the strong policy measures by the governments putting forth the respective bills, and we see a huge opportunity there to collaborate as well as to see gaps, if any, to learn from the lessons and collaborate. On the other context, on the cyber security, the rising attacks of zero-day attacks, data breaches and all these kind of concerns really enable us to see that we build systems that are more robust and future-proofing. We are also looking at the evolving context of cryptographic systems getting evolved that are becoming more robust even for post-quantum era through the post-quantum cryptography is one way of approaching. Another way is through the secure way of key generation through quantum key generation. So these are QKD, and these are various efforts that we see again happening in India as well as in Europe. We see a lot of R&D labs, including our own CDOT, IITs, to kindly, or we can go with the online speakers. Maybe we can request Mr. Manoj Parmar, founder, CEO, and CTO of AI Shield powered Bosch, to share his initial thought, and then we can move to the other panelists. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Manoj.
Thank you. So, hi all. My name is Manoj. I am the CEO and CTO of AI Shield, which is in a startup of Bosch. we have a simple mission. We are here to secure the AI systems of the world. And what we see is that the previous panels were discussing about the data security as well as we are talking about the AI. And the European Union is almost closing into the European Union's AI Act, which is the upcoming news, let's say, the legislation around AI. One of the key concerns during this AI-related act was that how are we going to secure the AI systems? Historically, the security was always an afterthought. Take it as an internet, then we had it into the the mobile era, then we have the IoT, then we have the cloud. The security was always an afterthought, and the key question was that should it remain as an afterthought, or when should we start learning? So this was one of the big questions that was there, and we started working on these questions very early in 2019, where we were working on securing the AI systems, where we identified what kind of challenges, security challenges for the AI exist, and then based upon that, how do we secure the AI systems? From our very pragmatic approach, from the technology controls and other things, we also educated the let's say the communities across the world, starting with the MITRE's Atlas. So MITRE is well known for their framework on the attack. We wrote together with MITRE and other leading industry players an Atlas framework, which is adversarial threat landscape for AI system, which got a lot of recognition and the influence across the world, and it has influenced the NISA's security of AI/ML, which is one of the key aspects. We also work with ETSI on their security of AI work group, which is a technical committee. And now the European Union's AI Act has an clause 15, which is for the high-risk systems that they need to be secure. And now the CEN-CENELEC has got a task to form a standard around it. And via ETSI, we are working on that how do we form the standards. So this is the first time that in the history that along with the AI, which is being pushed and regulated, the security is also being asked. Just to compare and contrast, the NIS2 for the security and the CRA, which is the Resiliency Act, closed now, and it all talks about the classic thing. It took 30 plus years to get into the standardizations with respect to the security of the classical, let's say the software assets, infrastructure network, and all of this thing. And this time we are leapfrogging. So we have identified the gaps, and now this time we are moving forward much faster, where we are saying that if we are going to adopt AI, better be secure by design, secure by development, and secure by deployment. Upfront, the security has to be the one of the core tenet. So that's, let's say, that's my opening remark, that this time we are doing very differently, and we are happy to share that out of the India with all of our technologies, we have contributed significantly to the European Union, as well as the US NIST AI risk management framework. And now we are working with the DOT here in order to formulate the security and robustness for the AI system. So that's all from my side, and wonderful to be here and really eager to listen to other panelist viewpoints. And Subbu sir, thank you for hosting.
Thank you, Manoj, for those crisp and important points what you said. May I now request Mr. Narendra Ji, Joint Secretary NSCS, to share his initial remarks. So to you.
Hello. Yeah, thank you. I was expecting that you would call me at the end, so I could summarize. Yeah. I think, the points made by the earlier speaker, I'm sorry I did not catch his name. Martin. Okay. So they were very relevant, and that is something that in the morning session also talked about secure by design and all. So, when AI systems have started coming in and people have started talking security right at this moment is a good thing that's happening. And that should happen with all the other emerging technologies that are coming in. And you're talking of quantum technologies also that are coming in, and the QKD systems that are there. So, in India also, for example, there are some QKD, people have come and developed some QKD systems. And we ask them, whether it's been tested for security. Okay, QKD, you're putting it for key exchange and all part. But per se, is the system secure by design? They say that in the channel, they'll say they'll give a challenge and say in the channel you can't detect it all. Now, people are not going to attack the channel. They are going to attack the end systems. That's where they are not going to do that. So that whether the end systems which are there, whether they have been designed securely is one part. And many a time you find that that consideration is not there. And personal experience, I was there in the FinFest, Global FinFest that happened in Mumbai around a few months back. And great, around 3,000 to 4,000 people around there, everybody enthusiastic, kuch karke dikhayenge type, and everybody doing, I've got this product, and 100% I'll tell you, and 100, it's not overestimation. 100% of the people, when I talked to them and then said, okay, this has got the features, but who is doing the security for that? They are looking at somebody else to do it for it. And I'll come back to the Indian Mobile Congress that happened quite recently. And there also you'll find, I don't know if somebody of you have attended, so many booths. I mean, it's a very huge place that was there. And I'd been there. And I also had a chance to go to the GITEX in Dubai. That is also huge, And then there also, people with IoT, a lot of IoT solutions that are there. And you speak to any of them, they talk of the features of what that product will do, but nobody talks about what they have talked to is about security. They look at somebody else to do the security for that, and that's a big problem. And I think that is a problem that somehow we'll have to understand. There should be a cultural change. Maybe it's in the educational system that we have got. And also a corporate cultural system that is there, that this change has to happen, that security has to be thought through right at the beginning if we really have to, secure the systems that are there. I'll close here.
We cannot hear you.
With this, I think may I request Mr. Devabrata Naik ji.
Thank you. Thanks, Chair, for giving the opportunity. So basically, we operate in a domain is the telecom domain, and we take care of the security aspect of those telecom equipments those are operating. So as you will find out, there will be a lot of technological changes happening in terms of it's no more a telecom environment now. It becomes there is amalgamation of IT, CT, telecom, OT, and there are also a lot of vertical industries are running on top of that. So it creates a lot of thing to understand what are the various kind of industries that is going to be running on top of your network, and how actually will underlining what is your network architecture. For example, let's say we are giving a certain set of security recommendation and implementing that into the equipments. But when it goes to the environment, it has to be gel with the environment, setting a certain set of security requirements. That has to also work in hand to hand with, because they do not want to change those kind of existing security requirements. On top of that, the application providers or those who are providing the, let's say the cloud providers, they are providing the set of security requirements based on that. So there is now the complexity has grown from multifold. So based on this, we have to visualize as how actually we have to make your system such that it will scale up, and it will also see one layer above it and one layer below it, and take care of those security aspects into account. And as Sir has rightly pointed out, designing a security is even if we say, but it's a very cumbersome job. Making a let's say a lot of security code analysis, which is very much essential. Very rightly Sir has pointed that security by design should be in the principle of the cultural change. Unless that will be embedded, so this will be take a little bit of further timing. For example, currently we are going a service-based architecture, and that service-based architecture is a cloud native. And that cloud native, all these services, those where we are running, now they run with a token-based architecture. And each token we have to grant a permissions. And to give a permissions, we have, because we have to use these tokens into different network slices. and these slices will be provided for different vertical industries. So that way actually you will find out it required do you have a PKI infrastructure existing, you can use those things, but it's a very difficult proposition, and to use a token based architecture, it required a cost effective method and also scale. So these are some new techniques are coming. So the moment we will utilize those kind of technologies, and as I also feel many people say that AI has this repercussion that, but we have practically implemented AI in lot of automation, related security automation kind of thing. We are experimenting it, and this is a very new project I have been experimenting it. I'm finding the response time is drastically reducing. The manpower employed is also reducing. Mundane task is repeatedly doing, which is AI can perform. So there are a lot of advantages by using AI in the security domain also. So that way actually you will find it, there will be a paradigm shift will happen.
Wonderful. Thank you. I think this is very important what you said about the automation, how AI can play a key role in evolving networking context, 5G and other generation of communication. May I now request Mr. Vijay Madanji to kindly share his views?
Thank you. Actually, I'll take up from where my colleague left it. So perhaps we were aware of earlier physical systems, then we came to cyber systems. And one definition was physical cyber system, but now it is becoming cyber physical systems. Where I saw a diagram recently, which was saying Society 5.0 and into 2030. In the Society 5.0 2030, it's a different model where physicals are being controlled by analytics, analytics, and also all things are coming from this. So if you see the tree or the new matrix, the controls, AI, big data are on the top. Then it has got two, physical space, cyber space, and cyber controls the physical. That's the reverse cycle now. It will happen in 2030. Secondly, there are a lot of data type, physical, public data and private data. Public data is on portals. Government are asking people to be free to port any data on top of it. But private data is close-chested. So how do we do differently the public data and the private data? Actually, too much data sharing, hesitation is there on part of public data and private data, of course, and all that. So how to control, how to manage? Should we trust? Should we test? Or trust that they are doing fine? Otherwise, auditing everything will become an issue for the regulator also and for the top bodies like Mr. Narendranath and other things are saying. So public data has to be pruned, cleaned, filtered, and also to be identified what is critical data and what is non-critical data and classify. So these are important steps which we have to do for the public data. Pruning, etc. is very required. Otherwise, data is going to petatrillion. I'm saying new unit has to be found about amount of data which is being held and all that. So business people are worried about their solutions and services, data modeling and data sets. And I was amazed that on my WhatsApp or on my mail, I get an information. I am a data scientist, but I am selling data. So many megabytes, so many gigabytes, are you ready to take? I have this classification of data. How he has got that data is very, very important and all that. So authentication, classification, and abstraction is very important. And we have to have registration of applications, registration of devices. Otherwise, you will have no control on the security and other things and all that. So KYC, earlier we were talking KYC of a person. Now you have to have a KYC of application. You have to have KYC of the device and all that. So this is a huge, huge work to be done, as my colleague was saying and all that. So data modeling and data sets are going to have a different shape altogether and so on. Then there is a debate about localization and globalization and all that. Localization of data, globalization of data, sharing of data. Even 3GPP when we contribute or transpose their specifications, we find that they have left a clause vacant. That is, regional requirements of security can be of the people, of the organization, or of the country, or the region, not as a universal standard for security at least and all that. So this is to be, again, harmonization between the two and all that is a job. So therefore, I think it is required, we have to have standards, but we have to have standard operating procedures along with the standards so that those will be implemented, not only theoretical written. Should have more collaboration on standard operating procedures, how we will regulate, how we will work, how we will transfer, and so on and so forth. So I already mentioned that we should audit each other or trust each other. So ultimately, if we follow the standards and the standard operating procedures, perhaps trust will be enough rather than audit and all that. So sellers of data, and I mentioned, and sometimes I have a feeling that organizations do not share the attacks on them or share the cyber attacks or other things on them because they hesitate to share, because reputation of those organizations will go down if they start sharing. So how certs will work, how all these works, these are some of the thoughts. I think there are more questions than answers, but it's a very complex system, as Debu also said. Thank you very much.
To Madanji, and rightly highlighted the cyber physical system, the challenges moving towards society 2030, 5.0, what you said, data modeling challenges for private and public data. Yeah, now may I invite Dr. Sriram to kindly share his initial thoughts.
Hello, thank you very much. Excellent panel discussion. So I'd just like to throw a few points without repeating, and also, of course, without probably from a fresh perspective, that when systems are getting too complex, and probably we have seen technology is still 0.0001%, I think, the development. Everything is still far away. As every few months we see new and new breakthroughs. For example, IBM has announced a 1,000-qubit computer now, which is there. And if you were to take the past 3-4 weeks, or maybe 1 month you take, not even 6 months, not even 2 years, the number of AI breakthroughs that have happened is amazing and phenomenal. Anyone who is following that space. Okay, so the rapid pace at which this is going, you're getting to an immensely complex systems and societies. So there, I'd just like to add, we should take a leaf out of nature's book. Okay, so for example, you take biological systems, highly, highly complex, right? So even a kidney specialist probably spends his whole life also, he doesn't know fully well how it works. So the thing is, security and privacy are treated as part of the system. It's very natural. For example, your white blood cells, your immunity system, and so on. It is not something that is taken on and bolted in, added as an afterthought, as a nuisance to be thought of. And they work 24/7. It's not that there is an audit once in 6 months or something. 24/7, your immunity system. We should adopt those mechanisms as you are tending towards complexities. What shape that will take, we will have to see. So a few other things that I was just scribbling a few points and all. See, for example, device fingerprinting could be a good area. What is identity? Because when there is no perimeter, your identity is the perimeter, so to speak, loosely speaking, okay? Then what happens is, that means you can be anywhere, you're connected, who are you? The identity is what defines. And what is identity? Identity is, again, loosely speaking, are subtle differences. Just like subtle features, differences from one person to another is a different face, different person, right? Or fingerprints, small differences. They constitute identity. So similarly for devices, if you go down to the nano level and look at the clock skew or something like that, you will find differences between one device, even though they are produced from the same factory. And those, if you apply machine learning and all those things, suddenly you will find the behavior different. You will find that a rogue device has been added or a device in the network has come in, which is different. Okay. And people have carried out all these experiments, right? For example, a TV may be buffering long packets, because it's buffering video, whereas a light bulb, smart light or something like that will be short blips. So in that manner, it is possible to take many parameters and crunch them. A lot of work needs to happen, and it's an ongoing thing, I believe. Okay, so that is one thing. So now coming to standards, a very practical one. So what I talked was a bit of research. If there were a lawsuit, let's say, that there was a ransomware attack and there's a lawsuit. Okay, one of the safest things that can be there is the organization can show that it is ISO compliant. Okay, then there will be no accusation of negligence. It will be very hard to prove that there was negligence, simply because he's ISO compliant. He has taken one certificate and there was no negligence. There can't be, in US they have this law of torts and all this, though we don't have it, we have it in some other form, in which you say that yes, you did not take, in privacy and everywhere else, so say that adequate protection must be taken, whether it's for cross-border transfer and all. How do you take that? You rely back on standards, and that's why they become immensely valuable. Otherwise, you won't even get your cyber insurance. You'll say that, no, there was some negligence or something else and all this kind of thing, and you will not even get your reporting. Everything, governance, risk, and compliance needs to be taken care of. So that is one thing. And the other thing is that we need to sort of overall reduce the friction. If you take NIST really, you take the latest guidance, they say don't change passwords. Very counterintuitive. You think that they would have advice, but you take the latest NIST guidance. It says don't change passwords until it expires. Because in that process of changing passwords, trying to find another complex passwords and all, more mess and mayhem is being done. Okay. So what happens is you need to reduce the friction. So in cybersecurity and many things standards, one of the things is it should not be like a stone or a weight tied to your leg that you're dragging along for the sake of compliance. Okay, it should be as transparent as possible. Okay, it should be as seamless as possible. And yet not be that intrusive, only to the extent that to which it needs to take that data. So it should not become that personal. So that is extremely important to do that. So you can set as many mandates as you want on various things, but from a human point of view, it should be as transparent and seamless as possible. So in the same way as your body immunity system or something else is working. So I guess I'll stop here in interest of time. So secure by design, privacy by design, all these need to be part of the things. We need to take care. Was there anything else that, yeah. So these fields like UEBA, user entity behavior analysis and all. So we need to foster startups. That's the last thing I want to mention. So for startups, we are incubating about 40 cybersecurity and privacy product startups with us. So we really need to invest there because they have gone all the way out to bring out a new value proposition in the system, and these are all new fields, they want to do it. And of course, there'll be mergers. That really is one major thing that we are missing out. Hello, yeah. Probably from a separate point of view, funding point of view, let's say. A lot of Indian money is not going to Indian startups. If you see most of the unicorns, they're all foreign funded. So though people are there in construction industry and XYZ industries where they're sitting on thousands of crores, and maybe they're buying expensive cars also for luxuries, but a few crores to put into startups and all, they're not doing it. So that is the mindset that needs to really change so that we can foster the entire ecosystem. People are there with bright ideas. People are there who are willing to give it their all. They will work day and night. They want to see the success and all, and not just be in their art, grinding out another job, right? So there are entrepreneurs. We need to really encourage them and mentor them, foster them with all the guidance that experienced people have here. Okay, so that is the thing. So I'm like in Telangana and in Hyderabad, we are fostering a lot of ecosystems there. I'm sure it's there in the other parts, but this will be one good way ahead, right? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sriram. Yeah, very important points. And looking further, deriving the knowledge or the learning pattern from the biological immune systems for self-healing based approaches like a human immune system, device fingerprinting and fostering startup. These are all very important points. Now, let me invite Mr. Sachin Gaur to share his initial.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I think a lot has been already said. And these are some of the people that I have previously worked with, and I really admire their understanding, deep understanding. I am an Indian citizen who is living in Europe, and I would like to maybe share some examples which kind of complement what they have said, because like what Mr. Madan painted was a futuristic, idealistic vision. What Mr. Nath mentioned is what is the reality of our society today. So I think we see different variants here. So I've been coordinating for the last 3 years AI research at a country level. So one thing I can say, working with more than few hundred PhDs, is that the progress of decades is happening in weeks. So we do not understand fully what is coming. And these black boxes of AI models are going to be the building blocks of internet, which means that if you hack them, you hack everything downstream. What Mr. Nayak mentioned, that this kind of hierarchy of vertical applications. So whosoever is going to use AI, and it is inevitable that they will use AI, I can bet if they're using something which is built on neural networks, we do not understand it. It has been mathematically proven, right, that AI systems are not reliable. The keyword in Europe for AI is trustworthy AI. So I can assure you that building trustworthy AI is not simple, is not straightforward. So that's one key point I want to mention from my experience working at the national level. Second thing I want to mention is trust. I think I had several discussions with Mr. Madan in past about trust. And one thing I really like living in Nordics is that trust is very natural in that society. So if you go to Nordics, the first thing you have to acquire is bank ID. So let's say here in India, I would be a customer of an ICICI or an HDFC bank. So I could use my bank login in any private service to log in. So when I'm using a private service like a marketplace to sell and buy things, the level of KYC that Mr. Madan mentioned is at the bank level KYC. So I am participating in a safe and secure internet, which brings the trust. So I'm just complimenting your point, sir, that how Nordics have implemented trust, and you can actually experience it. So it's not futuristic. The third thing, we have talked about data, and I would mention another European country here, which we can see as a lighthouse, is Estonia. So what happens in Estonia, let's say if I'm a private citizen, and if somebody is looking at my data, first of all, the system is organized in a citizen.
Wonderful. Thank you. I think I appreciate the experiences that have been shared on AI research trust, and mainly the analysis from the privacy impact assessment, what we may be touching upon soon. I think what we can probably do is we can just quickly take upon 4 or 5 points which are important for us, and I can throw upon this and maybe I request the panelists to share their views. One is on the challenges and the evolving scenario on the encryption side. So we all are aware today the preparedness, what we need to work towards quantum resistant way of doing things, on adopting maturing technologies for QKD and things like that. And now other concerns raised on the privacy aspect put together. What are those things that we feel that how you see the strengthening between the EU and Indian cooperation can be strengthened for standardization and addressing the gaps and things like that? Any member from the panel can comment on it.
I will just give the idea about the parental control part. So you see, when DPDP Act has brought you have seen in 2017 when Puttasamy challenged this in our Aadhaar Act, then it comes to the Supreme Court 9-bench judge headed by Sri Krishna committee, then it goes to JPC, and finally we got a bill which is very good for all of us. And this is what we have to acknowledge. The moment we got this bill, the bill has been found out. One of the aspect is we call it as, though many people say there is a lot of similarity between GDPR and our bill, that's true, it's not an issue. But in terms of parent consent, GDPR has given a consent from 13 to 16 years, and that depends on also the situation and the technology they are using. Whereas in our case, it is 18 year, and it is 18 year is somehow I can relate to 18-year consent mechanism used by China. China is always used a 3 wall. Everybody knows there is a Great Wall of China, and the second is the sand wall, and the third one they are using a firewall. So by doing this, so we must understand for us to proliferate the, I mean, in terms of innovation and playing the people with the lot of data and doing a lot of activities during COVID time study. So the 18-year consent, whatever is given, that is one area that probably has drawn with different inference. I'm not saying it has drawn from China. What I'm saying, both countries have the similar references. So this is what one of the, and the most important thing is the exemption part which has been.
Currently, you know, we talked about the QKD systems and post-quantum encryption. And, Europe can work together to come up with mechanisms for, you know, testing, certification, and validation of the systems. That's my take on that. Thank you.
On this,
Are building the AI models, there's actually large language models. LLM models will be built, and when you LLM models will be built, basically they will, when you do a system call, you get a parameters, but here you are not getting a parameters, you are getting as a system call as a neural network. You will download a particular neural network. He has rightly told, whatever input you are giving, you don't know after certain processing what is the output comes out. That is what only the AI can define what AI will provide the output. But
these halls, you know, they give it to someone on a daytime. Thank you, Nitin. Thank you, sir. This session with a comment that.
Thank you, Subbu sir.
bye, Manoj. Thank you.